The July 12th Board of Trustees meeting is now open, and I will turn to Graciela Molina, the board stenographer, for the establishment of quorum.
Trustee Aguilar,
Here.
Trustee Garrett,
Here.
Vice President Richards,
Yes.
President Beggs.
Here.
So quorum is established. Just for the record. Trustee Davis, my understanding, will be here for open session. And
Correct.
Trustee Hinton is just running a few minutes late, so she will be here for closed. Jenny Nicolau will be out for this meeting.
Thank you. All right, so we have no one attending virtually, which is 2.3. Are there any statements of conflict at this point? I see no hands, so 2.5 is public comments. I see no public. Is there anybody online?
It doesn't appear any raised hands for public comment at this time.
Okay. All right. So we are going to move into closed session. We will be discussing 3.1, discipline dismissal release complaint, 3.2, part 2 of our public employee performance evaluation of the chancellor, 3.3, conference with labor negotiators, employee organizations, CSEA. The agency negotiator is Trevor Stewart. And 3.4, the conference with labor negotiators, employee organization, YFA. And that will be with Rex Randall Erickson. So we will now move into closed session and be back at approximately 5:30. Thank you. All right, the July 12th Board of Trustees regular meeting is now open. Welcome to everyone. I would like Trustee Dawn to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, if you would do the establishment of quorum. Graciela, thank you.
Trustee Aguilar. Trustee Davis.
Here.
Trustee Garrett.
Present.
Trustee Hinton. Vice President Richards.
Here.
And President Beggs.
Here,
Quorum is established. Just for the record, Trustee Nicolau is out today.
thank you. 4.4, we have nothing to report out from closed session. 4.5, are there any statements of conflict? I see none. Are there, 4.6, are there any changes in order of business? None. All right, 4.7, the recommended action is that the Board of Trustees approves the minutes of the Board of Trustees special meeting on May 31st. Okay, that was Trustee Aguilar.
I second it.
And the second was Nancy Hinton. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 4.8 is approval of minutes of the June 14th, 2023 Board of Trustees regular meeting.
Move for approval.
That would be
Davis.
Antonio again,
Davis.
Don Davis.
Don Davis motion that.
Oh. Okay, do I have a second? From Trustee Richards? All in favor, say aye.
Hold on just a moment.
Oh, never mind.
The minutes that were given to us, just for clarification, both sets of minutes say board special meeting, May 31st, 2023.
Ooh,
So,
good catch.
yeah, just making a correction for the record.
Thank you.
Other than that, so those will be corrected on their face, and as everything else looks to order. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
All right, all in favor of the amended motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, let's see. 4.9, public comments. Do we have any public comments at this time for topics not included on the agenda?
I don't see any raised hands on Zoom.
Okay, and I don't see anybody racing to the podium, so thank you very much. I believe we're up to 5.1, Board Finance Committee report, and that would be Trustee Garrett. I love these.
Thank you. It's with great sadness that I have no report this evening, and the next meeting will be on September 10th, 2023. Thank you.
All right. I think we're going to get the similar item for policy.
Madam President, I concur. We'll have the same, our next meeting will be October 9th.
Thank you very much. I look forward to it. All right. So now we are up to association reports, beginning with, I believe, a virtual report from ASCC President Alexander Jukes. Or not?
Alexander, if you can unmute yourself and show your video, if you have the capability to do so. We don't hear anything on this end. And
Would somebody like to contact him and I'll work him in? Oh, there we go.
I apologize. I didn't have it set on the right phone.
No problem. We all have technology.
All right. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Alexander Jukes, and I am the new ASC president. I'm a forestry and natural resources major, and I plan on getting a job with the Forest Service once I graduate. As you all know, during the summer semester, the ASCC does not meet, so I don't have anything to report as far as the summer semester is concerned. Fall semester, the ACC has updated the club training for advisors and presidents, and we also would like to continue our partnership with Weeks of Welcome, as well as old traditions like the Giving Tree during the holidays. That'll conclude my remarks. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Questions?
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, and we look forward to meeting you in person.
I look forward to introducing myself in person.
Great. Okay, next up is ASMJC President Ruth Gamboa. Congratulations.
Board of Trustees and Chancellor Young. I hope you're all having a wonderful summer this far. My name is Ruth B. Perez Gamboa, and as of this afternoon, I am currently serving as the ASMJC president. Over the past few weeks, ASMJC has passed the updated bylaws as well as 2 resolutions, first being the land acknowledgement and the second being the counseling resolution. ASMJC is currently undergoing summer training, which will continue through the summer. Next week, we will begin our work on Welcome Week and Flow, which is free lunch on Wednesdays. We are working on new strategies for recruitment. We are currently accepting new applicants to our Senate. Thank you for your time. I look forward to working with you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. All right, next is CSEA, and I believe that first VP Patrick Krebs is going to give the report because Amy is not here. Welcome.
Hello, President Biggs, fellow trustees, and Chancellor Young. My name is Patrick Krebs, and I serve as Vice President of CSEA Chapter 420. I have the privilege to speak to you tonight on behalf of CSEA. CSEA leadership is concerned with the rate of progress, or lack thereof, with negotiations. Initially, we were optimistic that we would meet our shared goal at the beginning of June. Having to work with 3 different lead negotiators, there has been tremendous setbacks since May. Momentum has been lost. We have been told numerous times that the Benefits Committee would meet in the spring semester. It is July, and the district-wide committee has not met. It was announced yesterday that there is a new benefit vendor and a new online platform. Employees are required to meet with the representative to be able to navigate this online platform. Historically, YCCD has always embraced shared governance and transparency with the 3 constituency groups. And yet, with these changes, it fails to recognize the purpose of the Benefits Committee. CSEA leadership feels it's important that the board know the drastic changes in leadership at district have contributed to the impact on negotiations, communications, and employee morale. Joint initiatives and priorities have been postponed or ignored. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the Board of Trustees on behalf of CSEA Chapter 420.
Thank you. Any questions or no? Okay, well, thank you. All right, so next we have faculty liaison to the board, Alan McKissick, who I do not see there. Has he contacted anyone? No? Oh, I hope it, no? Okay. And, all right, well, I hope everything's okay. I'll move to Columbia College Academic Senate, President Marcus.
I don't see him on Zoom.
Okay, if he comes later, let me know because that's hard for me to read. Okay. MJC Academic Senate, President Giselle Flores. I knew you were here.
Good evening, trustees and Chancellor Young. I wanted to start by sharing what an eventful 2 weeks it has been in this role as Senate President. I mean, when in my career will I ever again be able to say that I received a downtown Modesto history lesson from Trustee Garrett on a pirate ship being steered by our president? No, this was not a fever dream. This is our 4th of July parade. I have also enjoyed attending the LGBTQ+ Advocate Scholarship event and the Umoja Summer Institute, where I saw firsthand the amazing work faculty are a part of in support of our students on our campus. This past weekend, I participated in tabling the fair, and it was incredible to hear the stories of alumni and to see students in person who are currently in my online classes this summer. It was great to hear so many people ask, does Professor so-and-so still work there? As it was such a testament to the connections faculty make with their students. Another notable observation was how many people had a story of, I started MJC, but then I stopped going. Even though our data shows that this is a common occurrence, it is humanizing to see the people behind the data. These stories are the drive behind so much of the Senate work planned for the next 2 years, and alignment with the institutional priorities within the strategic plan and educational master plan you have on your agenda today. We also have some exciting faculty events coming up. The annual Faculty Professional Development Institute will take place August 1st through the 3rd, and I would like to thank the committee for all the work that they have put into planning this time of reflection, reconnection, and vision. On the topic of vision, we would like to formally invite you all to join us on Wednesday, August 2nd from 12 to 1 to come and speak with the faculty about your vision for the college, followed by a question and answer session. And to quote my grandmother, si vienes, te damos de comer. If you come, we will feed you. In front of you, you have our announcement flyer, and you can see some of the amazing topics we have scheduled based on faculty requests, including AI, culturally relevant pedagogy, trauma-informed teaching, and wellness. I'm really looking forward to this event as it will be my first since I started at MJC. Lastly, we have been planning the schedule for our new faculty orientation that will take place in mid-August to welcome over 30 new full-time faculty, as well as our new part-time faculty to MJC. An invitation for you to attend this event will be on its way as well. Thank you for your time, and this concludes my report.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the reminder here. That's great. Okay, so next up is LTAC President Jillian Daly.
Good evening, members of the board, Chancellor Young, presidents. All right, my first item is regarding the Leadership Team Advisory Council's interests regarding our upcoming discussions over COLA. The governor has now finally signed the state budget, and so here are our 5 interests. The LTAC has an interest in reaching median against our cohort districts, in preserving the tradition of compensating the leadership team equitably with CSEA, in retaining strong leadership and avoiding constant turnover, in preserving district fiscal stability, and in meeting the ACCJC accreditation standards. And once again, this year, for Meet and Confer on COLA, the LTAC asks for the following data. First, number 1, a 1% salary cost for constituency, each constituency group, the number of faculty making higher salaries than deans, reclassification years 2 and 3 completion timeline, percent of COLA each constituency group has received in total over the last 5 years, total compensation costs for each constituency group, and district savings from not rehiring classified professionals or managers. And I'll just note that when we made these requests last year, we did get them. So we'll probably get those again this year. Regarding health benefits, the LTAC requests that all constituency groups be treated equally, as has always been done in the past in regards to health benefits costs. Therefore, we are requesting the same 3-year agreement that district has reached with faculty for all leadership team members. In terms of the ongoing, I'll just say the ongoing district-initiated reclassification process for the leadership team, having received the report from McKnight Associates, the consultants hired to review the leadership team's district-initiated reclassification process, the LTAC recommends to the board that we follow the recommendation outlined in the report as follows, and I quote, "Given today's labor market environment, the 5-year sequence of the management classification review cycle is too long. It might work for routine maintenance of a well-developed classification compensation structure, but it has been a long time since a comprehensive review of the positions has been undertaken and jobs have changed over time. The best practice is to manage the employee relations impact of classification and compensation studies with an elevated level of communications and consultation with an employee group, such as the LTAC, and review all the positions at one time rather than by an extended cycle to develop a baseline understanding of internal relationship and external market position of the whole group. In the meantime, as the year 2 cycle has already ended and we are now in year 3 with only year 1 having been completed, we ask that HR be given clear direction to complete year 2 by end of fall and year 3 by end of spring in order, at the least, to be back on our cyclical process as outlined in our handbook. There are many leadership team members who have been waiting patiently their turn for reclassification review. And then finally, I have a short report on leadership team goings on at Columbia College, and this comes from Annika Rogers Whitmer. Columbia College President, Dr. Lena Tran, hosted Columbia's Leadership Summer Retreat on Monday, June 26, in Twain Harte. New Marketing Director Nancy Reggio was introduced, as well as returning Dean of CTE, Dr. Brandon Price. And I'd like to give a personal shout out to Brandon. Welcome back. We worked very closely together on the LTAC back in the day. And extensive environmental scan data and in-depth discussions from all departments led to a robust conversation about continued implementation of Columbia's strategic goals developed last year. And Ruthless Equity by Ken Williams has been selected as the leadership team's book review for the year up at Columbia. And heads up, I have contacted our VPs and Chad to recommend that the MJC leadership team also read Ruthless Equity, and we can develop some co-college discussions, perhaps a retreat in Oakdale at the end of the year on equity, and to finish that book discussion. So with that, are there any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up is YFA President Brian Green.
Good evening, trustees, President Beggs, and Chancellor Young. Since the last board meeting, YFA and district have had 2 positive and productive negotiation sessions. One of the successes is that, as you know, we reached an agreement on full-time faculty health benefits, which had been a sticking point. Importantly, the agreement covers the entirety of the successor contract, which runs through the middle of 2026. This multi-year solution gives us much needed opportunity to focus on other important issues at the negotiations table that will benefit faculty and students. 2 critically important items are progress towards our equal pay for equal work goal, what we often refer to as parity, and part-time health benefits. While we do not yet have an agreement, we're making progress and solutions seem to be within reach on both topics. Part-time faculty parity and health benefits have been prominent for a long time, and it feels good to be making headway. I would like to share YFA's appreciation for the board's support and the district negotiations team for working collaboratively to find financially prudent solutions, and I hope we're in a position to finalize agreements on these two items soon. In closing, I have a short report this evening. I'd like to make two quick comments about the personnel agenda tonight. First, my wife, Mackenzie, is on the agenda as she's being hired as a full-time counselor for a temporary position for 1 year. She's been a part-time counselor there for a number of years and is excited to be there full-time for the coming year. Second, Corey Stoneham is retiring from the transportation department at Columbia after 15 years of service. I've known Corey a long time, and he is someone who's had a big impact behind the scenes on college operations and on students. He's been a terrific colleague, and while I'm happy to hear of his retirement, he will be missed at Columbia, so I just wanted to call attention. Thank you for your time, and have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. All right. So we are now at 6.2, updates from Chancellor Young.
Thank you. I'd like to start by calling on Dr. Tran from Columbia College to share with us updates from Columbia College.
Thank you, Chancellor Young. Good evening, board trustees, colleagues, community members. Okay, there is a list tonight, everyone. Well, thank you so much, Julian, for mentioning the Ruth equity. On that note, I really, when we look at it, the book is really talking about how the faculty can truly close the gap in the classroom for each and every student. And I think there's like such inspirational stories about how faculty could be ruthless and say, this is the things you need to do in order to finish the class. At the same time, other faculty say, there's other approaches to student where they need a little more hand-holding. So it really breaks down into how do you as an individual be ruthless to help each and every student accomplish their educational goals. So we had a good day for our leadership retreat. And along with that, we also, as Julia mentioned, we did the environmental scan for Columbia College. So now, as a whole, the college understand where are our students come from, where is the growth area, where is that gap that we can fill in to serve the community. So we're excited. And at the end, we even play a little miniature golfing, and it was very competitive. It's a competitive team, but it feels good. We're almost there. We're just missing a senior director of admin services, and I think that will round out nicely for Columbia College in terms of our leadership team. The other initiative last month I shared was that we look in our enrollment and we say, you know, where are students? And again and again, Columbia College really do feed in our feeder high school. So we went out, we look at our high school. This graduating year, there's about 500 students. And remember how I say, oh, let's mail these and say they're accepted. But when we look at the data, which is Amy's here, I want to recognize the foundation. Out of the 500 graduating seniors, 311 are college promise students. So that's more than half. So when we look at that data, we say, wait a minute, why would we do the mailing to a group that's already captivated in our area? Instead, we are very flexible, we pivot, and our admissions and records, and thanks to Courtney, said, you know what? We have approximately about 500 students who have applied but did not enroll. So they went on, they did all the work they did like. So instead, we went our mailing to those students. So now they get to say, hey, I applied, but did I get accepted? So that's what we end up doing, that you apply. And then in this, I know I'm so proud of our little, you know, it looks so 4-year, but in here, and then it's a small classes for your big dreams. So in there, it has all the resources. Now the student feel really engaged and say, great, I apply. I never knew what happened, but now, so we'll wait for that and see what would that come out of this, our mailing. For the fall campaign, we haven't decided yet. I thought we open up and slowly having that conversation, because now that a year in Columbia and the community get to know us, it's like, what do we stand for? Who do we produce when they walk out of Columbia College or they transfer to UC CSU? So that's a bigger picture of what Columbia would like to stand for. And that's something we'll work through with the group. The other thing, this morning, I was driving into work and I had this like big smile on my face, because when I started this position, I'm from Silicon Valley, and my heart was like bringing IT to the region. And some folks look at me and say, you're crazy. They're just forests and fire, and we're great. We're forest fire, that's strong. But could I tell you that this week, Monday, we started our first cohort with Somerville High School for Apple App Development Camp. And the students are so excited with their iPad, and within 3 weeks, they're going to be developing apps, whether it's for Somerville, for their business, but they're excited. I think we have to start somewhere. And I'm thinking like, oh, our incoming freshmen, we all have iPad. They're probably going to kill me, but I think it's possible. And that just put a smile on my face, like, with all the work, we can still do IT and remote. So I can't wait to share next month. Hopefully, if I can get some of the students to come up and share from their high school what app they develop. And it was fun. So I had lunch with them. That was good. The other thing is, for our K-16, everything is aligned perfectly. As a fiscal agent for the K-16 Collaborative Grant, the region has decided the 3 pathways that we're going to focus on, which is healthcare, education, and CIS. As such, you can see the partner with Apple, it's going to lend nicely into our iPad for our CIS program, the healthcare. And Chancellor, you'll go more into the UC Merced pathway. And that's we're looking to do a pre-med, pre-health pathway for all region. And then the education is really teaching the STEM, which yesterday, Monday, talking to UC Merced. So things are going gel nicely with our high school partner and with our Columbia College and our UC and CSU. So I was excited to share about that. And then lastly, tomorrow, I am actually going to San Francisco to meet with Mary for our international student. So there is a California Language Academy that has several locations throughout California that has about 1,000 plus students that learning ESL. So the student comes to the center, they learn ESL, but after that, where do they go? So we want to partner and say, come to Columbia College as an international student. So that's another way for us to recruit student that is already in the United States. And there's more partnership to come overseas for that. And I think that's just enough, right, Chad? I'm good. I am good, everybody. So happy summer. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Redwing?
Very good. Thank you for the opportunity to present the July report to the board. It's going to be a little non-conventional this time because I looked at the formal report to the board, which you have in your notebook, and realized it's about 8 to 10 days old and it feels like a lifetime. So I thought I'd provide you an update and a little bit of context and refer you to the full report for some details. I think I'll maybe begin with the elephant in the room, me. It was not, as you know, my original intention to be here in this capacity, and I just did want to acknowledge that although the college is looking forward to that day where we find our permanent president, that it's an honor to have one more semester as an interim to help the college along. So that's how I wanted to address my comments today, and some things that we're working on which I think are great, and a challenge that we have that we might need your help figuring out how to solve. Despite the elephant in the room, we'll carry on. I think maybe the way to carry on is to remind us of how we got through the last 5 months, right? There was a lot of collegiality. A lot of honest, sometimes difficult conversations, but ultimately very productive because I think people had the best intentions of the institution at heart. And it reminded me of kind of our superpower in the system, and that is we know how to crowdsource ideas. And so I think an important part of this and these reports, at least for these next semesters, are not to just tell you some of the accomplishments that we're working on, but to bring you some of the challenges and invite you into those conversations. So let's start with the accomplishments, and then I'll get to this month's challenge. First of all, enrollment looks strong. It looks like our enrollment growth. Vice President Sanders could address that more if you need, but it looks like enrollment for fall is strong. We're off to a good start, and numbers are promising there. We've got additional outreach efforts that Dr. Wilson could talk to you about, in which I think we're leveraging technology to get students all the way to enrollment and attendance. So that's all great news. As Giselle mentioned in her report, we are now up to 36 full-time tenure-track faculty hires, and so I have to thank all the search committees out there. There has been an enormous number of hours put into that process, and I just wanted to thank each of them for their willingness to try to bring new ideas and fresh blood into the institution. Speaking of good times, yeah, the parade was great. The county fair has been spectacular. We've had strong footprints at both events. And we had over 100 volunteers marching in the parade with We Are MJC t-shirts right down the straight with the Modesto Arch in the background. And it was, I think, a pride-filled moment for all of us. So thank you, particularly Trustee Garrett, but all of you for your support in our community outreach, which I think is going well. And we even came away with a prize with the best nonprofit float in the parade. So isn't that great, right? Dr. Tran, you mentioned the Yosemite Promise, and Chancellor, the work that has been done through the district office to ensure that we have an additional educational pathway to UC Merced is great news. There's wonderful news out of the dance program and Jacob's Pillow. This is spectacular and really of international acclaim. And there's a shout out for Ashley Bumgardner, who we are losing at the college, but gaining at a sister institution. So there's a few more things of detail in the report you might want to look at. But let me fulfill my promise and get to my challenge. My challenge is this: I've never run a full semester as an administrator at this college before. So that seems like a challenge. And the best way to do that in my mind is to look at our institution set standards, right? Look at the things that we say we're going to do and that is articulated to our funding and figure out how we can do them better. So we're going to be entering into conversations about benchmarks, how we best measure student success. And I will admit this is going to be a challenge because ideally this is done in an environment in which our district strategic planning and the voice of the district and the trustees frames the college in explorations and measurements of institution set standards. And we're not quite there yet. But our accreditors require us to practice anyway. So we're going to practice. And during the fall semester, we will identify 2 areas that we want to measure before we begin, measure halfway through, and then measure at the end of the academic year to see if collaboratively we could actually affect some change for our students. So we have focused on opportunity gaps, and I do want to point out that those opportunity gaps, I think, may end up be surprisingly wide in their understanding. We are going to let the data inform our decisions. So in August, we will have our researchers come to College Council and tell us not just about the ethnic background of our students, but their age, their gender. Believe it or not, one of the equity gaps right now in education is men. So there's all these weird data anomalies that we need to address, but we want to do so openly and with data kind of leading the way. So I can imagine all kinds of opportunities for us to address these opportunity gaps. And I'll just point out one. Students are more likely to get A's and B's if they're well fed and have communal meals. So there's very strange out-of-the-box things we can do to move these benchmarks, and I'm excited about them, but I think we need the support of the trustees in the district and this wider conversation with our sister college, so we can all say, here's what we want to do, here's how we're going to fix it, and now we'll measure it. And I appreciate your support, me explaining that process to you of what we might do this semester. So ultimately, it's continual improvement. We will get better at our planning. We will align our planning to broader goals, but it's a start, and you'll see it as a discussion item today. We look forward to your input, and we will bring back a final version next time for your perusal and vote.
Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Any questions? I think a microcosm of that was when you did the dinner groups that met out at Redwood Cafe, and this, I don't know if you guys knew, but all the students read a particular book and then they discussed it over a communal meal. And it was great to see how engaged all those students were. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't have a question, but I do have a comment. And I want to thank you for both for your reports. And I want to particularly appreciate that you called out the opportunity gap and equity gap as regards to men. And that shouldn't be a surprise. This isn't an aha moment. It's 10, 12 years in the making. And it's K-12, and it's community college, CSU, and UC. And I want to hear more of how we are attacking that concern of underperformance and low enrollment. And this is a concern that's nationwide, not a Modesto concern or UYCC, it's a California and it's our nation. And this is not a, aha, look, we have men, a problem with equity with too few boys graduating on time. But no, this has been around. In fact, when Governor Brown was here and visited our county and met with superintendents, it was pointed out to him then that the enrollment inequity in the CSUs and UCs is a 2-to-1. 49-51, it's more than that now, right? So thank you. Let's keep on that issue, keep talking about it, and let's be out there convincing our young men that there's a future and community college can be a big part of their future and their success in life. Thank you.
Any other comments? Sorry, I can't see.
One of my nieces graduated from Stanislaus, and we attended, and it was kind of like we do here, the Hispanic graduation, and there were 62, and there was only 5 men. I mean, it's great that our Hispanic women are thriving and doing great, but to see 5 out of 62, it was kind of so. Yeah.
Thank you. I look forward to those discussions and the creativity that we're going to bring to this. Okay.
I want to mention that we signed the Promise Partnership with UC Merced on Monday afternoon. I want to specifically thank Chancellor Munoz for his graciousness in working with YCCD for our 2 colleges to be granted guaranteed transfer for their students. We know that this will be an equalizer, and it will give students from both colleges an opportunity to get into the UC system. And it will give them an extra option beside Stanislaus State. So I know some of us think that UC Merced is young, and it may not have some of the programs that our students are looking for. But I would say that UC Merced offers a comprehensive program right now that our students could benefit from a direct transfer. And from then on, our students could look forward to the whole UC system and transfer to some other UCs for graduate studies with that specialization that they're looking at. So I want to thank, again, Chancellor Munoz and his team. And also I see this as an opportunity for our faculty to be able to work with the faculty at the UC Merced in some capacity and be able to build a closer relationship between the two institutions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I think we have a couple information items coming up. 6.3 just points out that we're going to do our self-evaluation and that it will be distributed electronically to us, our annual. And then we'll have a discussion of it in August, correct? All right. Likewise, we'll be discussing our board special priorities next time. And so I'm glad we're going to be discussing the strategic plan in the interim too, because maybe there'll be some dovetailing there. And then 6.5, just also for information, is our travel report. So all of those are attached. And you can see the evaluation instrument, the self-evaluation instrument, et cetera, all of that is attached to the agenda. Any questions? No? Okay. So now we are up to the consent items. The recommended action is that the Board of Trustees approves action items 7.2 through 7.5 on the consent agenda. But I do believe we have a retirement.
We do, and President Brian Green spoke of this individual earlier, and thank you. I too, when you go up and you go to Columbia College, you're going to hear about what he does behind the scenes from just about everybody that has anything to do with students and getting them around and the help that he's done. So my wish is that he takes all that energy and he has a well-deserved retirement and enjoys himself and his whatever next adventure it is, because he certainly has done a lot of great things for Columbia College and for the district and the students and staff and everybody. So I wish Mr. Stoneham all the success in his new venture. So thank you. And with that, I'll approve the items as listed.
So the second was from Nancy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are up to 8.1, District Administrative Services YCCD Resolution number 23-24.01 for emergency work pursuant to Public Contract Code. The recommended action is that the board authorize the emergency work to repair Phase 1 of the West Campus gas line pursuant to Public Contract Code 2203 attached to the July 12th, 2023 agenda. And my understanding is that Yolanda Perigil is going to speak on this. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Chancellor Young. My name is Yolanda Perigil. I'm the Senior Director for Facilities, Planning, Maintenance, and Transportation. And I'm currently working with the engineers working on the gas line repairs. So we currently have John Muir, Sierra Hall, and Yosemite Hall without gas supply. There are people working in these buildings and there are classes as these buildings are not currently calling for heat because of the summer months. The whole entire gas line repair, that's scheduled for summer of next year, but we do have a Phase 1 option that will reinstate gas service to Sierra and Yosemite Hall. And that is what we are requesting to bypass the bid process for this emergency repair so that we can get gas back on this summer and be ready for classes in the fall. So the students, the classes don't have to be canceled and can be scheduled and move on as planned.
I have a question.
Yes.
So there's no way to, how do we know that we're getting a reasonable price on this? I mean, did we contact other vendors? Are we just going to one specific vendor? I mean, I understand the need, but this is a lot of money. And I'd like to know how the vendor was selected.
So the vendor is a signatory union contractor.
Good.
Okay, they're a local vendor. They've done a lot of work through the bid process as a primary contractor and a subcontractor through the bid process. They did drop everything they were doing to come and help us with the emergency repairs. So there's continuity and there's familiarity with our campuses, and they've been working with us for several years. So we did not solicit multiple bids for this one. We do have one right now, but our engineers and architects do come up with preliminary estimates based on the scope of work that they have to complete. So we're fairly trustworthy that we are receiving equitable bid, not equitable, but
Well, the
reasonable.
fact that you found a local contractor that you have experience with and that they're union approved, well done. You don't have to tell me anymore.
Thank you. Any other questions on the gas line repair?
I just would like to add, I appreciate the work that you're doing, that Judy did before. I apologize that unfortunately you guys had to inherit this. As I've stated before, it should have come no surprise to anyone when we went through Measure E and we did this major build out that you inherited aging infrastructure that was put in place in the 1940s and probably put together with string and baling wire throughout the years. And I know there was, in my conversations with Judy, there was money set aside in Measure E to deal with this very issue. And, you know, the work wasn't done. And we can debate that, but now we're forced with having to make sure that the safety of our students and staff is paramount. So, you know, when people like to point the fingers at the board and others, we take the safety of our students and our staff and the community as a whole very seriously. And when this issue came before us and Judy brought it along with your help and everyone else's, we made it a priority. So I'm happy with the work that's being done and your due diligence in getting this fixed. And I'm happy to approve the resolution before us this evening.
Were there any other questions or comments? No? Or, okay.
Move that we adopt resolution number 23-24.01.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. All right, next up, we have 8.2. The recommended action was that the Board of Trustees approves the MJC College Strategic Plan and Education Master Plan attached to the July 12th agenda. This is the first time we've seen this. This is a draft. So I would like to move that we pull it we can discuss it, or if we're going to talk to you about it later, Chad, I will, what do you recommend?
I will say, this is, well, a good part my fault. Ultimately, you'll see that the documents we gave you were draft documents anyway. And so we need to bring the final documents for approval. So I think this just gives us an opportunity to discuss.
Okay. Is there anything that anybody would like to say?
Well, I appreciate the work done. It's very thorough, and I think they're reasonable. There are some ambition here, obviously, and all, but the work done on this gives us a path forward to fund and to support with resources. But yeah, we can wait a month on it, but good work.
Any other comments? I have some I would like to put out there. Our district has affirmed in our goals and our special priorities that we want to, quote, foster an institutional culture that creates a positive educational environment, including utilizing principles that are guided by due process, open discourse, academic freedom, and viewpoint diversity. Likewise, our board resolution on racism states that our board, quote, strongly condemns racism and discrimination in all their forms, and affirms the district's unwavering commitment to serve all students from all ethnicities, backgrounds, religious beliefs, national origins, genders, sexual orientations, political affiliations, without preference or prejudice. Further down in that same resolution, the board affirmed its unyielding commitment to a diverse, inclusive, and mutually respectful institution of learning that welcomes individuals from all backgrounds, perspectives, and walks of life. So I personally, am not speaking for the whole board, I personally am concerned when I see a document draft that uses language from a particular ideological framework, and in fact asserts that we must, as an institution, adopt that particular political and philosophical framework, because we have moved then from the realm of being ideologically inclusive to being ideologically prescriptive and exclusive. And I believe that's a very dangerous direction because it violates our academic freedom and it preempts viewpoint diversity. It also limits our ability to analyze our weaknesses creatively, and you mentioned the problem of men dropping out and or not getting involved, because it preempts us from looking at solutions which may not fit neatly into this particular ideological approach to analyzing our data about student outcomes. When we tell people what lens they must look through, you are limiting their vision and constraining their creativity and coming up with possible solutions. Above all, again, this is my opinion, I think we all have to be careful to see our students first and foremost as unique individuals with unique backgrounds, histories, gifts, personalities, and talents, doing whatever we can, each of us do, to help and inspire them to reach their fullest potential. So those are my concerns with this document as it's written now, but I fully support large chunks of it. I love that it says we're trying to help our students meet their goals, not our goals for them, but their goals. I applaud that. But I don't want to see us looking, saying you can only look at it this way or else. Thank you. That's my 10 cents. Okay. Any other comments or? Okay. Let's go on then to 8.3, executive compensation, college presidents and chancellor proposal.
I just wanted to bring an update. I've heard from several individuals that we should consider possibly having the foundation buy houses for our staff. I've spoken with the foundation. There's absolutely no interest in that, unfortunately. But I will bring back at the next meeting that we go forward with a $500 a month car allowance and a $1,500 housing stipend, which is the stipend on housing is half. I've still done a lot more research on compensation packages for chief executive officers of colleges and universities, and I think we're missing the boat on this. So really don't have anything more to discuss about this, just kind of giving an update, and I'll bring it forth at the next meeting for consideration.
Just a comment on that. Thank you for the work that you're doing on this. It'd be nice to see some of what it is that you are comparing to. If you could, whoever you're working with staff and all, but if there are colleges that have compensation packages that include the things that you think we're not including, it'd be nice to know who they are.
Okay.
I can look into that. Also, when a chief executive hired, there's a contract, and that contract has a compensation package, and there's negotiation, and then both sides sign. And then there you go. Unless there's an egregious error, in my opinion, you don't change that until it's change time, which is when there's a renewal or an extension. So, Dr. Richards, if this is something that is, maybe we're a little low or we're low in an area, but there's a time for it, in my view, which would be at that time when we are renewing or extending a contract. Would that be your intent here, or is this going to be like a midterm correction that you're seeking?
I'm open to your suggestion. I do think it's. Let me just leave it at that. I understand what you're saying, and it's something that you may be right, but I'll leave that for when we have further discussion.
Any other comments? No? Okay. In that case, we are up to 9.1, request for future board agenda items. No?
This is a new record for you.
I don't know, I'm a little shocked. All right, so comments from the Board of Trustees. We'll start at this end with Antonio. Okay. It's not a speak now or forever hold your peace moment, so sure. If, all right, Trustee Davis.
I'll keep it brief. And this is, my comments are regarding the LTAC comments that we received earlier. You know, we had the consultant, and as I understood, it basically condenses down to, you really ought to take care of this in one shot and then have a 5-year plan. And we heard that, we get that. I appreciate the comments tonight. Hey, at least get year 2 done and year 3. I think that's very patient. I think the consultant's recommendation is wise, and one that I'd recommend that we maybe move in that direction and knock the thing out once and for all, and then have a reasonable, I don't know, review process in the future. But it's gone on too long, and our consultant says it's hard to, you know, when you have a 5-year plan, well, then there's a lot of people waiting around for that 5th year, you know. And then if your 2nd and 3rd year is behind, and we're just too far behind on that. And so I would recommend that we take the consultant's recommendations and move forward with a one and done reclassification and then move on.
Okay. Thank you. Trustee Garrett.
Well, I was absolutely thrilled to be at the July 4th parade. I was given the fair warning ahead of time. They didn't make me sign a waiver, but it was more of a verbal warning of who was driving the truck, and that was President Chad Redwing. They gave me all the horror stories. He struck a tree. May have been something else that, you know. So I'm looking around looking for any, you know, low-lying danger there. But no, it was, I think the most amazing part about it was this was my 2nd year. The turnout was incredible. I mean, the community, I mean, you really could get a sense they were back into this after COVID shut everything down. And I got to meet our new academic senate president. The student turnout, they had to turn students away. They put the they put the invite out, and it was just incredible. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better turnout from our student body. I mean, if there was one takeaway, yes, I'm getting into Alan McKissick's time, so I'm going to go a long way here, but it was, you know, it was infectious, all these kids. And, you know, they had stuff to hand out to the crowd. And, you know, I remember back when I was that age, I went, oh, I'm not doing that. You had all these kids saying, oh, I want to take something. And they're all out working the crowd on both sides. You know, Vice President Brian Sanders was there again. You know, involved in all that kinetic energy. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, he's walking. Yeah, he didn't take the easy way out, being in the float, but it was incredible. But I think what you have to appreciate, and I didn't get told this until after it was all over, but I think you got to appreciate the amount of work that our classified professionals put into this. That is kind of like the ag department's primary flatbed trailer. In any other day of the week, that's its life. And our performing arts classified professionals staff, others come in, and they've designed this whole thing in modular form to be put together. It's not easy. So if I have a future recommendation, I think we need to do some outreach, whether it's through the foundation or this board coming up with some solution. But if we're truly going to be out there in the community with not only Modesto, but the West Side and Turlock and all these other communities that we serve, that float is a great way to do it. And
our parade is July 1st, so they could do both.
there you go. And I think if we want to show a good way to show our commitment to the communities that we serve is to put ourselves out there. So we need to, Chancellor, let's come up with a way to make this a permanent addition, because I'm telling you folks, it's a lot. When Brian and Chad and the young man, and pardon me, I forgot his name, but that really is that's the really the energy behind it. When he starts to tell you how much work it takes to put this together, it blows you away. And and again, the students. So we need to come up with a permanent solution to make this work and use it as an advertising tool and community outreach in the area that this Modesto Junior College serves. I think the community deserves it. But other than that, thank you all. It was great. It was great. Missed the rest of you, but it was great. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That was the coldest rainstorm I've ever been in. Oh my gosh. And I thought we were going to get electrocuted because the electrical box was open to the rain. Yeah, Nancy. Really? Well, it's lovely to have you here. Thank you. No, nothing? Okay. I'm sorry, I wasn't here this time. I was down in SoCal, or I would have been in there, because it is a wonderful experience. And, that was Trustee DeMartini for years said we need to have a presence in the parades. It's a great outreach, and people are happy to see us, and I wish she was here to see it. We were. Yeah. The three, I remember. And we're survivors of Chad's other maiden voyages with the pirate ship. Well, I was on that one. Okay. That was great. Yeah, it was wonderful. So yesterday, I hate to say it, it was my first time to UC Merced. Or not yesterday, but a couple days. Sorry, the week has been blurry. But I was a visiting editor at the Bee when I think her name was Carol Tomlinson, the first chancellor, came to the Bee, to their editorial board, and explained this new vision for UC Merced that was nothing yet, and talked to us about the plans for it. So it was really cool to go there, to sign an agreement with them, and to have our students have a clear path to UC Merced. And they were talking about their medical school that they have plans for, and that our science students could work into that. So I mean, there's wonderful things happening if we channel them well. Yeah, so I'm so glad we were able to do that, and it was a great thing. And they have a beautiful reflecting pond too, which is really nice in the summer to see all that nice water out there. So anyway, I think that's it. Our next regular meeting of the Board of Trustees will be held on August 9th. Closed session will begin at 3, open session at 5:30. Are we at Columbia yet? It says here. Not yet? October? Watch it be a snow day. Okay.
Don't say that.
All right. All right. So we will see you up there in October. All right. Anyway, thank you very much. We are adjourned at 6:36 p.m. Thank you very much for being here.